What's up, guys? Stamp. I'm here with Who again. And for those of you who are new to the channel, Who was the original guy who helped me build the strategy guide that all you guys tell me you really like and appreciate. So, what's up, Who?
Hello.
So, Who and I are going to walk you through the top 5 rare trinkets we feel in Darkest Dungeon. And just as a reminder, we're going to reiterate, this is across all classes, like general use, not situational, not specific. As much as we could, we avoided that. If you want to see the best class-specific trinkets, go to the class guides that are on the channel, and they'll be able to help you pull specifics for each individual class.
It's
So,
worth noting when we were going through this list, on the Trinket website we only chose from the trinkets listed as rare in blue, not very rare or very rare red, which
and
is why the selection is not the best trinkets available, even when you consider this is the top 5 trinkets.
we feel that this is probably one of
The worst
the
category.
worst selections, yeah, and we feel that these are due for a balance pass, probably more than others. So, with that, we'll get into it, and I'll cover the first one, which is number 5. So, number 5 with the fasting seal. With the fasting seal, again, we're not happy about it. We don't feel that it's that much better than the bloodthirst ring, which we covered in the first video. But again, you can see the value in not having to bring food, freeing up some inventory space for you, and it also gives you a little bit of additional dodge, so that would save you on gold. And another thing to keep in mind when saving inventory space is the collector has a 5% chance to spawn when you are over 65% of your inventory space that's full. So the less you're carrying, the less likely you are to randomly run into a fairly tough mob, especially if you're new to the game. If you're more experienced, you probably want him to show up because you can get some of the better loot from him because you probably know how to handle him. So, moving on, I'll let Who cover the Sun Ring.
Well, as Dan said, number 4 is the Sun Ring. Now, we're separating these out for the purpose of this category, unlike what we did with the previous category, the Uncommons, simply because there's no choice. Now, the Sun Ring, its stats are only useful if your torch is above 75, those stats being plus 15% damage and plus 10 accuracy. These are fantastic stats. More damage, more accuracy means stuff dies quicker, saves you money in the long run. The biggest downside of this item, not including the torch, is the stress damage. Increased stress damage is a money losing stat. So this item balances itself out quite well. It's not super powerful, it's not super weak. It's just something that if you have and you're doing full torch runs, it's worth using. Same goes for our next item, which is number 3, the Sun Cloak. Now, once again, torch needs to be above 75 for these to work, and this is a purely tanking item, unlike the ring, which is a purely DPS item. The stats of plus 5% prot, and plus 10 dodge are fantastic on tanks, especially characters like the Leper and the Man-at-Arms. But once again, plus 10% stress damage just takes the overpoweredness of this item down to negligible values. Good, Dan pass to say.
I think that's true. I mean, as you get from rare to very rare, the additional stress damage for newer players is harder to deal with. If you're more experienced, you probably know, or you've got some other trinkets that you could bring to offset, like higher crit. You could use camping, being able to camp a little bit better, eliminating those stress mobs quickly. So when you're taking things that are adding additional stress, keep in mind the stress mobs are usually your first priority, depending on how much HP and the healer and everything else you have going around you. But 9 times out of 10, the stress mobs are your first priority, because at the end of the dungeon run, your heals are free to get to 100% if you make it through there, but the stress is going to cost you money, and money is the biggest bottleneck in the game. So we move on to the Camo Cloak for Who.
Yes, number 2, the Camo Cloak. Once again, it is another item which requires you to be at 75 torch or higher. And the 15 dodge and the negative being the stun resist make it better than the Sun Cloak overall, as dodge is better than prot because no damage is better than reduced damage, and stun resist reduced is marginally. There's going to be some issues where it comes up, but compared to stun stress damage, it is a massive upgrade from the Sun Cloak. Not much else you can say about this item.
This really shines on Houndmasters, on Jesters, on anybody who has a high dodge. Running this on a Man-at-Arms in the 4th slot when you're running his protection spell is really strong. But anybody who has really high dodge, this item does shine on there, and it's really good. But it doesn't compare to the Feather Crystal, which, in my opinion, may be the best trinket in the game for general use. We rate this obviously as our number 1. The speed is okay, but the dodge and the speed together are really, really strong. The stun resist and move resist, again, like who just said, is fairly situational. You don't have a ton of mobs that are out there to stun you, only in certain dungeons, and very rarely are you going to get hit with moves. There are certain places that as you play the game you'll know where it's an issue, but I carry the Feather Crystal on almost every single one of my healers and almost every single one of my utility characters, and in a Mark party it really shines. So I really do feel this is definitely the top 5 in the game for me. Who?
Yeah, Feather Crystal on this list, it is the only one I would spend a single gold on. The others are all well and good to have, but I wouldn't go out my way to buy them.
For me, this is a must-buy.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
So when it pops up, regardless of your situation in the wagon, the Nomad wagon, if it's there, buy it. It has that much value.
This is one of the few trinkets that it's so worth buying it. It's worth selling other trinkets to buy it.
Yeah, definitely. So with that kind of wraps up the rares. And again, we're not happy about the list, and we feel this list definitely needs to be buffed. The next one we'll be covering will be very rares, and that'll be on Who's channel. So check out the link in the description so you can check out Who's channel. Thanks for watching, guys. See you.